Moviegoers, welcome back to another episode of Cinema Buckets. Our guest is a true master of his craft, an Academy Award winning special effects artist whose work has helped shape in some of the most iconic films and television of all time. We have Chronicles of Narnia, The Walking Dead, Kill Bill, Pulp Fiction, and the list goes on. From groundbreaking effects to pushing the boundaries of cinematic storytelling, his contribute to the industry are nothing short of extraordinary. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to an incredible talent and visionary, the legendary Howard Berger. How you doing today, Howard?
I'm good. Wow, that was a lot. So
Try to
yeah.
do it. I tried to do Academy Award winning.
Yeah,
It wasn't
no,
as
no, it's
good,
all good,
man.
man. It's all good. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. It's like so this is my 42nd year
Okay.
being a professional. And it's like I owned K&B for 38 years.
Mhm.
Started it with one of my best friends, Bob Kurtzman, and then Greg Nicotero.
Yep.
And then Bob left, and I know Bob's been on your show, and
Yep.
he's a great, great guy. I love him so much. And he left to go raise his children in back home in Ohio.
Yep.
And then it was Greg and I for years and years and years and years and years. And as of recently, I actually have departed K&B as of January 1st of this year. And now Greg is the sole owner of K&B. So, yeah, I just felt like it was after 38 years of owning a company, and I'm very, very proud of it. And I think we've done incredible things, and we've worked with amazing people for all those years. It was time to, I wanted to relieve some of the pressure because there's a lot of pressure owning a studio, and you're responsible for a lot financially, and you're responsible for the people that work at the shop, and we've had quite a few at the time and still do. And what I like to do is I department head,
Mhm.
which means that I run the entire makeup department. So I can do everything. So I'll be the one person, it's my department. I don't share it with anybody, which is great because that always gives me a headache. And I handle all, the beauty makeup, the grooming for men, the normal everyday makeup you see on set, as well as, our lead actors and any makeup effects or creature effects that
Okay.
all runs through me. And I've been doing that for the last 15 years and I love it. And I kind of want to just focus on that. And also through my career, I never got to focus on one movie at a time because K&B was always so busy. I
Yep.
would have multiple shows that I was responsible for. I could be on one movie somewhere, let's say in New Zealand, but I was still running like three other shows back in LA. So it was nonstop. And I was just like, I'm 62 years old. It's a bit of a grind, and I don't have the energy I used to when I was in my 20s. When we started K&B in 1988, February of 1988. So I just thought, like, you know what, I want to kind of lessen the load, and I love being home. I love being with my wife. I love being with my grandchildren, and I felt that was far more important than stressing about owning a makeup effects shop. So I'm going to let Greg stress for however many more years he wants. I wish him all the luck in the world, and I hope K&B continues to be incredibly successful, which I know it will. But I just decided I was done doing that aspect of my life. I spent more than half my life doing that. So,
Well,
you know.
that is amazing, and the group is amazing still, and just the fact that you guys are tied into so many projects
Hmm.
that I remember going over with Robert. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna list you a couple of these movies.
Sure.
Let me know, just give me a little brief of what you did, and then he was like, that was actually, and you were explaining, he's like, well, that was actually, you know, I had him doing this, or I had Greg doing
Right.
this. Like I wasn't part of that, but we were still a group.
Yeah.
So, which it was interesting
Yeah.
is that I think from the outside looking in, a lot of people don't know that. They think
Well,
you're on the project, you're all together, and that's it.
no, no.
Yeah.
Well, we used to. That's how it
Mhm.
started.
Mhm.
When we started K&B, the three of us were on the shows. They were small shows. We didn't have anything then. We rolled the dice and we basically took a chance and decided one night that we were done working for other people
Yeah.
because Bob and Greg were working for Mark Shostrom on Deep Stars 6 and Phantasm 2. I was working for Kevin Yeager on Child's Play, the original,
Yep.
and also Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Mhm.
And we all decided one night at dinner, let's take a chance. Listen, it could have been a complete fail and we would have
Yeah.
all been broke. But I mean, we were broke anyhow. So, I mean, what are we going to be more broke?
Yeah.
And and it is true, it takes about 5 years to get your own business up and running, and it took about 5 years
Okay.
until we were actually making any money. But it was great. But as K&B got more and more accolades and became really busy, that's when we had to branch off and
Mhm.
like Greg would do this show, I would do this show, Bob would do this show. And we would run our own shows, within the shop. And of course, we always consulted with each other. And I'm like, Greg, can you come over and
Absolutely.
take a look at this? Or Bobby, you want to look at this? And vice versa. Because it was still was under the it's always been under the K&B umbrella. It's just that, we just we couldn't be together,
All the time. Yeah.
forever. And I
Yeah.
think the last time the three of us were together was on From Dusk Till Dawn was the
Oh,
last time
really?
the three of us were together. And then I did, we did one more show where Greg and I were together on set the whole time, which was a movie called Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
And so that was the last movie uh, I think we did where we were together the whole time. Maybe Spawn, now that I'm thinking of it. Might have been Spawn. No, it
Okay.
was. Spawn was the last time Greg and I were together. So,
Nice.
and then we got so busy and, and Walking Dead was all Greg's baby. Like
Mhm.
I didn't work at all on Walking Dead. And that was all Greg. I was off doing other stuff that interested me because I was never really, I like zombies. It's great. It's not
Mhm.
my bag.
Okay.
I'm more of a character makeup guy and fantasy and I love stuff like that. Greg is a total like full on gore guy and loves
Mhm.
zombies because he came from Pittsburgh and loves George Romero and Tom Savini and
Makes
all that
sense.
good stuff. So, it makes sense. So, and I also think that's part of K&B's success was that, the Greg and I had a common interest, which was we love movies and we
Mhm.
love monsters and makeup, but we don't like the same things within that universe. So if we both love zombies, that would be a conflict. We just both wanted to work on Walking Dead and nothing else. Or if we both loved Narnia, we both would be working on Narnia. So it all worked out really well that we shared the same interest, but we have different likes and
Yeah.
different tastes. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
It spreads you out and it gives you more of a variety to
Yeah.
cover other projects, which is cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Quick question, because I Robert did the same thing, and I'm just curious. Maybe it's just you guys call it shows. Yeah, every time
Yeah.
you talk about it, you're talking about shows. You're, hey, yeah, I did
Yeah.
this show.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why not a movie? Why not a
I don't
project?
know.
It's just
Yeah,
something
I don't
that
know.
comes up.
We just always call it a show.
Okay.
It's
I
just
was
the way
just.
it is. It's like I don't know because I think now, especially nowadays,
Mhm.
we do such a mix. I do such a mix of movies and TV that it's like instead of going, oh yeah, I just finished a feature film or I just finished a TV series. I
A
guess I
lot
could say
quicker.
that, but to me, it's all just bundled in. Oh yeah, I did this show and I did this show because it's a show. No matter what, it's a show because the audience is going to watch it.
Absolutely.
So that classifies it for me as a show.
Hey, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. But no, but people, it's my terminology. There's other terminology I use, and people are like, "What?" Like when we're in the trailer, and let's say an actor comes in with and has tattoos, and we have to get rid of them.
Uh-huh.
You would normally say, "Oh, let's tattoo removal or tattoo cover," but I always go, "Let's tattoo removal," and I've confused people like, "What do you mean, remove it?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, just paint over it." "Oh, you mean cover, tattoo cover?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's what I meant, tattoo." I'm
Gotcha.
like, "We're not going to remove a tattoo on somebody." So I've confused a couple people. So, or they think like they have to clean them up, and I'm like, "We haven't even done the makeup yet." So.
Well, you know what? That's interesting. Like I said, it's something that caught my attention. I'm like, man, Bob said the same thing. I'm like, I wonder if that's something like that's in between, or it's again an
It's just
industry thing.
yeah, it's just a terminology. I mean, a lot
Oh,
of people
cool.
just say, "Oh yeah, I'm on the show right now." They don't ever really say I'm on a movie because we really don't know what's going to be a movie and what's not nowadays.
I mean, you're right.
You
You
know,
just
we
do
could
it,
be
right?
working on a movie and then it turns out to be a TV series. So, who the hell knows?
Well, let's dive into you, Howard, man.
Okay.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in LA. So I'm born
LA.
and raised. This
Okay.
is where I live. I'm talking to you from Los Angeles,
Gotcha.
Sherman Oaks, actually. And born and raised in LA, and I love it. It's changed a lot. I don't maybe love it as much as I used to, but I have great fond memories of growing up here. And yeah, I grew up with a really in a big family. I have three sisters that are younger than me, and my dad was in the film industry. He was a post-production sound editor,
Oh, there you
and my
go.
mom was a teacher and an artist. And yeah, my dad fed my love for movies, and
Right.
and we used to watch movies nonstop, especially monster movies, and
Yep.
that's kind of what it stems from. And I just had a keen interest in that, and just figured out like, hey, there's probably people that work in the film industry who make monsters.
Mhm.
And I was right. There are. And
What's
and
your
I
favorite what's
yeah.
your favorite horror movie? Or what's your favorite creature?
Well, my
That you
favorite
like?
monster is Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
So that's my all-time
The Gill
favorite monster.
Man.
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
Gill Man is there's nothing better. And I've said it a bunch, but it's true. And I love the Gill Man. I mean, as far as monster movies go, I mean, Jaws is my all-time favorite film. I think it's perfect. I can watch it every single day
Yeah.
if my wife would let me. And but I mean, I love movies in general. I'm a horror fan, but I'm really a movie fan. So I
Absolutely.
watch everything. Last year, I keep a track of everything I watch,
Okay.
and old and new. Last year, I hit 180 movies.
Nice.
So yeah, which I was proud of. I was trying to break 200. I think this year I might. I'm already over 40 films this
Okay.
year.
Nice.
So
Nice.
only in the fourth month. So that's 10 average of 10 movies a month. So
Not too bad, Howard. Not too
no,
bad.
no. And we go to the movies every weekend, make sure we go and pay our money and enjoy the communal experience and as it should be.
Yep.
And we love it. We love going to see movies. We even see films that we just know we're probably not going to like, but I feel obligated to go see everything and do, enjoy it the best I can. So,
Absolutely. I think especially nowadays, kids don't take movie theaters. They take it for kind of for granted. Like, it's back in the day, like I used to love going to the movie theaters. It's
mhm,
something I always shared with my grandparents and stuff like that. And then
right,
even for like, streaming comes along and then it's kind of
right.
like, well, no one wants to get out. Everyone wants to, but
Well,
the whole thing is getting to the
yeah,
movie theaters,
I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't completely agree with that. I do see it's changing, and I'm
Mhm.
starting to see younger generations go to the movies.
Okay.
People that, when you hear this baloney on, you read it on social media, like movies are dead, no one's going to the movies. That's baloney.
Yeah.
People are going to the movies. There's almost a $200 million box office this past weekend, and it's been on average over 100 million every weekend. That's pretty gosh darn good.
Yep.
And I think and from what I understand, and I ask, and
Hmm.
from what I experience, that the younger generation wants that communal experience. They're done staying home, being distracted by their stupid phones, and doing whatever, and stopping a movie and getting up and going to get more potato chips and dip or bathroom, and they're actually packing in theaters. So the demographics has changed, and I think like within the filmmaking industry, as there certainly was a lull,
Hmm.
that the filmmakers of today were the kids of the 80s. And they want to make the movies that they got to watch back then. I'm not saying in terms of the context, but I'm saying the experience. And so
Experience.
I've worked with many directors lately that are younger. They're in their 30s, what have
Okay.
you. And they're like, I want real stuff on set. I want this, I want that. Like, we're not going to do this with, generated or AI or any of
Yeah.
that. They really, really want to have the practical stuff on set because it's part of the magic trick. And I really appreciate that. And I see that the tide is turning. I mean, I was feeling the opposite not too long ago, and I was pretty
Hmm.
down about it. But I'm now seeing it turn a bit. And when directors are requesting practical effects,
That's what
that's
I'm
a
talking
wonderful
about.
thing. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what we gotta keep it going. But I mean, it's definitely different now. It's a different animal. It's very it's slowed down tremendously. It's just not the the explosion it used to be.
Hmm.
But that's I think because of 100 different reasons, essentially.
Definitely.
So we'll see what happens.
Let's talk a little bit about what inspired you to pursue this career in special effects. Like you said, you loved
Mhm.
monster creatures, and then was there any artists that you kind of followed that
Oh yeah,
you were younger?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up loving Jack Pierce because I love the
of course.
classic Universal monsters, but I also was a massive Dick Smith fan, Rick Baker fan, Rob Bottin, Stan Winston, John Chambers,
Hmm.
Danny Strepek, all those guys, and I really was familiar with them. And through Famous Monsters of Filmland, that magazine, that was the only magazine at the time. And then, of course, when Fangoria came out,
Berger. Yep.
all bets were off. And my first issue was a Rick Baker issue, and my brain was spinning. And so yeah, I mean, I idolized those guys, and I would write them, and once in a while, get a letter back. Dick Smith always wrote back, and I
Mm.
did hunt down Stan, and I got to go visit, and I did hunt down Rick Baker, and I
Yeah,
finally
I've
got
heard
to go
that.
visit. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so. It's great. And I ended up working for both Rick and Stan at one point in my early career.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, I got to meet all my idols, and they were all wonderful,
That's
and
good.
and
That's
they
good.
still are. I mean, it's like I never would have thought like, oh, I'm friends with Rick Baker. And even though I've known Rick since I was like 12 years old, um, I still get nervous when I
Absolutely.
go to the house and see him, or like we'll have lunch, and I'll go bring lunch with me, and we'll have lunch at the house, and I'm still like, oh my God, it's Rick Baker. I still get starstruck,
It's
you know?
awesome.
It's like the other day I worked with an actor who I really, really admired, and it was my first time, and I was like, this guy's so good. I was so excited. I was like, I love you and everything, man. So that feeds me. It's like I get really excited about things and working with certain filmmakers and certain collaborators, and
Hmm. Definitely.
I know who everybody is, and I have studied all their work, and um yeah, no, it's cool. I get very excited about going to set and
That's
working with
awesome.
people.
That's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
great. I love
Especially,
it.
yeah, man, the whole it's inspiring seeing how enthused you are with, your work still after so many years, man. Can you
Thank you.
walk us through your process for designing a creature or character from scratch?
We you know what? I'll tell you what. The best way to do it is, okay, so I read the script,
Okay.
all right? And I might have ideas like, okay, it's this and this and this. And
Hmm.
then I'll talk to the guys that are on my team. And I'm like, okay, so this is what the script says. Let's talk about some ideas. And we throw ideas around and all that. Then I'll have a meeting with the director, and I'll go, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Da da da. They like it or they don't. You just throw it at the wall,
See if
and
it's.
you see what sticks. And then you'll go back and literally to the drawing table and start doing some artwork and
Mhm.
start producing, visual pieces, and that's how you kind of come about it. But I
Wow.
like it to be a team effort. There's some
Hmm.
people that don't and feel like they're going to just do it all by their lonesome, which is perfectly fine. I think that then makes everything feel the same. It
Hmm.
all kind of starts to look the same, but I like everybody's input, and I mean, even regarding design, but also execution too. I
Hmm.
like to troubleshoot it, and like, I might have an idea like, oh, well, we can do it this way and this way,
Hmm.
but then we might say, why don't we do this instead? This might be a better idea. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look at that, and maybe it'll work and maybe it won't. I mean, ultimately, it's my decision because it's my show,
Hmm.
or my film or TV series, and
Thank you. There you go.
and there you go, and then we go from there and figure it out. But there's like an episode of Ted season 2 that's out now, and that we did the Dungeons and Dragons episode, the D&D episode. Tons and tons of stuff in it, and I was really so proud of it. And Seth MacFarlane always gives a call because I've been working with Seth since Ted 2, the movie,
Hmm.
and then we did 3 seasons of Orville, and I did a bunch of stuff for Seth. Whatever popped up, he's like, "Hey Howard, I need this. Hey Howard." So it's been a really good collaboration with him. I enjoy it. And so this came up, but we had these characters that were like these statues, these stone statues that come to life. And I had an idea of how I wanted to make it work. And at first there was other ideas and like, oh, we can sculpt because I wanted to do from head to toe. Because
Okay.
originally that's like, oh, well, so and so can do the costumes and you guys. And I'm like, yeah, it won't work that way. We need to let one person do it all.
Hmm.
So we ended up like Kathy Sully, who works at KNB, who's amazing fabricator and artist and uh, troubleshooter, came up with like, well, what we should use, like, get a body form and we'll drape it with a bed sheet. We'll
Hmm.
spray it with resin, and once it's painted, it'll look like sculpted marble. And it did. And, Alex Diaz painted it, and Michael Araby painted it, and it looked great. And we sculpted the head, and then painted up the body and the arms, and did these makeups. And the first test makeup I did on my wife, Miriam, who has got like the perfect features for makeup. She has like a long neck, it's thin,
Hmm.
and she's got a great, beautiful face. Her structure of her face, bone structure is incredible. And so I did the test on her and shot video, and Seth was like, "Holy shit, that worked!" And I'm like, "Yeah, let me just go with it." But I mean, other people in the shop had some other ideas, like, "Oh, we
Hmm.
should sculpt this, or we should do this or that." At the end of the day, we did it. Went back to just making it, a little more simplistic and less labor intensive, although it's always labor intensive no matter what you do. But I was really happy with it, and I think they turned out really, really great,
Nice, nice.
But that's it. You're always troubleshooting and you're always trying to find new ways to do things and cool things to do. And yeah, and
Interesting.
sometimes you hit a wall with some people that, are a little tough-headed or what have you, and they don't want to
Yeah,
budge. You try to see their way, but ultimately, if I'm going to be on set, it's my decision,
absolutely.
I always say that, like, guys, I'm the guy on set. So if I don't feel comfortable with this,
I'm not gonna
then
go with it.
then
Yeah.
I want to do it the way I want to do it. And if it screws up, it's on me. So, there you go.
Well, there you go. Accountability. I
Mhm.
like that, Howard. I
Yeah,
like that.
that's what it is.
How do you balance realism with artistic exaggeration in your designs?
Well, I always try to listen. For me, everything's about the silhouette.
Okay.
And that's why I like the designs of, like, let's see what does the silhouette look like, because that's interesting to me. Like, sometimes people will just pile texture and detail, and that's all super cool. But
Hmm.
to me, it's all form, And I like, you look at any of Rick Baker's stuff, which is all exceptional. I mean, Rick's the best, but his forms are so incredible. The silhouette of that American werewolf it's just the coolest thing. Or Rob Bottin's werewolves from The Howling is incredible. And it's to me that's like my first step. Like, how does this look like in a silhouette? Let's draw out silhouettes.
Okay.
So bouncing back to Seth MacFarlane. So when I first started working with Seth, we did like he said, oh, in the script there's these characters or this characters, and I'm like, okay. So I went back, and the design team with my direction did a bunch of really beautiful Photoshop artwork, and I showed it to Seth, but it didn't click with him. And then I started to think, like, wait a minute, he's an animator,
Hmm.
so I'm giving him things that are too detailed. So
I
let's
see where you're
just do
coming
some
from.
thumbnail sketches. So Mike Broom, who's one of the artists I like to work with, um, is an incredible sketch artist. And I give him a piece of paper, like, just draw 10 different heads. And he would just knock out thumbnails real rough. And then I would show this to Seth, and he's like, these are great. And I'm like, well, which ones do you want? He's like, I want them all. But he reacted to that. It took me a second. You have to learn a director's language.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
because that's a big thing. Like, a lot of people think, like, oh, I can, once I become a makeup effects artist, I'm going to open up my show. I can do whatever I want. First off, you don't get to do jack shit.
Yeah.
You don't do anything you want. But then you have to learn the language of each producer, and it's different. And for Seth, it was about starting with extreme simplicity and
Okay.
something that catches his eye. And there were times, because I mean, he's a great artist, so I would go, Seth, can you just draw something that you like? And
Hmm.
he drew out an alien that he liked. This was for Orville, and then I'm like, okay, got it. And then we refined it, and then refined it more. And I'm like, this is it. And I saved all his sketches. They're all in like little scraps of
That's
paper and stuff,
awesome.
or on a
That's
paper
awesome.
plate or something like that. Like, I think I have, is it up here? No, it's not in here. But I have a paper plate drawing of me that he did.
That's
As I was sitting on set, and he's like, "Here, I gave this to you, or I made this for you." And I was like, because he kept looking at me on set. I'm like, "What the fuck's up with Seth?" And then at the end of the day, he's like, "Here, this is for you." I'm like, "That's cool." Seth MacFarlane drew a me if I was in, Family
That's
Guy.
awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, so it is a collaboration with you and the director and so forth, and seeing what he likes and or she or they like rather.
Hmm.
And Yeah, no, it's cool. I like that part of it. And then we get to take it to clay and sculpt it and or 3D design it or it's cool.
Does that effort also come to like when you're collaborating with like actors as well as a director of like knowing the
Yeah.
director and knowing the actor?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, there's sometimes you are working, you're designing things and you sometimes have access to the actor, but sometimes
Okay.
the actor doesn't really care. But
Okay. Okay.
but it's you might say like, hey, what do you think about this? Is there something in it? So you'll have actors like Gary Oldman who is very, very involved and wants every aspect. So, but like I'll use for an example. So I did this movie called Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins and I did 6 different tests on Tony, and and each one was very, very different. And but we kept talking about like Tony and I,
Hmm.
and part of me taking that movie was I said, listen, the only way this is going to work is I have to have like a 8 week testing period and I can't do it on a double. It has to be on Tony, you know? And Tony said, absolutely. You just say when and I'll show up every day. And I'm
Cool.
like, great. So, we prep stuff and test it, prep it, test it until we both, Tony and I and the producers and the director, Sasha Gavassi and Ivan Reitman was the producer, agreed that like this is the look we want to go. But
Hmm.
even the night before we started shooting, day one, Tony called me and he's like, "I don't think I want to wear the lower lip." And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Tony, we shoot tomorrow, and we've been testing with this lower lip to give him that, good
That,
evening." Because at first Tony's like, why don't we do a lip?" And I'm like, "Okay." And so he calls me like I'm ready to go to bed because I have an early call, and he's like, "I'm thinking not wearing the lip," and I'm like, "Oh shit!" But it's designed so that the lip covers the edge. It was a separate
hmm
piece. And I'm like, all right, we'll try it. And I did it and I was able to blend it off beautifully. And Tony was like, at the end of the day, like, this worked much better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 100% it did. But like, I also had a thing like, I want, like, Hitchcock had brown eyes, but Tony has beautiful blue
Blue
eyes.
eyes. Yep.
And I kept saying to Tony, like, we need to have lenses. He's like, I don't want to wear lens. I don't think so, Howard. No one's going to care. No one's going to, I said, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so I had the final makeup on him and I'm like, let me put contact lenses. And he's like, okay, fine. And I put him in and he went, oh my God, this just brought it to life. And I'm like,
There
yes,
you go.
that's what I've been saying this whole time. Like we have to have contact lenses. So, with
Interesting.
that show, it definitely was Tony and me,
And yeah.
like, and it was a matter of finding, my wife was very instrumental in that movie for me because I, I did a test and we screened it
Mhm.
and there was things they really disliked about it. And Ivan Reitman, has passed away sadly, was a great filmmaker. Anyhow, was very critical of it. And I was like, I got really upset. I took
What were
it
they
personally.
critical about?
Just like, oh, that doesn't look right, or this is
Uh,
weird, and and I was like, it's a test for starters. But it was ego too. And I
mhm.
was really pissed off. And I went to the car. Miriam was with me, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. Da 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 da. And she's like, no. Wouldn't you rather hear this now instead of on set? And I'm like,
That's
yes. Listen to what they're saying because they're not wrong. You're just being pig-headed because your feelings are hurt. And I'm like, yes, that's true. It's like you have to get over it. And that was at
Listen
the
to her, Howard. Listen
I
to her.
did. I did. And then we went back to the drawing board and kept working
Nice.
and working, and every test got better and better and looked more. I had a find, and my wife said, "Listen, you're not doing a likeness. You're doing a portrait. And a
Hmm.
portrait's different than a likeness. A likeness is making him look exactly like this character, which is the first test makeup I did on Tony. He looked just like Alfred Hitchcock, but I lost Tony in it."
Yeah, I got you what
And
you're
she's
saying.
like, "You have to do a mix. It's got to be Hitchcock Hopkins." And I'm like,
Hmm.
you're right. So I started taking stuff off. I, took away the forehead. I took away any, this or that, or, he has a little nose tip before he had a full nose. We lost the
Hmm.
lip. Instead of full ears, he just had larger lobes. So it was very deconstructed makeup and it worked out great. And I was like, she's a genius,
There it
and she
is.
saved my ass a million times on shows. Like, she's a fine artist and
Hmm.
she thinks outside the box, and sometimes I don't. But that was a great example. And after that, I'm like, I get it. And actually, that taught me the lesson not to be. so precious with everything, and
That's
not to, yeah,
fantastic.
not to always have a dog in the fight. Like it's not always a fight about like, well, this is what it should be. It doesn't really
Mhm,
matter what I think it should be.
mhm,
It's what they want because I'm facilitating their needs, and I have to do make sure it's the best it can be for them.
mhm,
So it's a little bit of a tug of war, but it's I've resolved myself
mhm.
to not like take anything personal, and I don't. They can go
But
like this.
it's hard,
Yeah,
especially when it's art, right?
yeah,
When it's
no,
something that
you
you
know,
put your
and
effort
it's
into.
something you really put a lot into
Yeah.
it. You put your whole heart and soul into it, and it's tough when you're hearing criticism. But now I'm like, yeah, well, tell me what you like. It's like, well, we
Hmm.
like this, and we don't like that. Okay, great. All right. So, just make sure we won't do this or that. It's like, okay, that was easy. And I'm like, I don't have a dog in the fight anymore. I'm good. I'm not going to cry about like, oh, we really don't like this. I'm like, that's fine. What do you want?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I'm here to
Absolutely.
facilitate.
Yep.
Either way, I get paid.
There we
So, what
go.
do you want? You want this or you want this?
Do you think
So,
that's a maybe a common mistake of someone that's coming into the industry
oh
that has
yeah.
kind of like that, right? I
I think there's a
Hmm.
confusion of caring
Okay.
and obviously you're going to care about what you're doing because you want to keep the quality and you want it to be cool. But also you take it too personally and you treat them like it's your child, and it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And tell you the truth, I've never felt that way about anything I've ever made. Like, oh, this is precious. Like certain people will like keep all their stuff and
Hmm.
never let it go. And it's like, oh, every little piece is means something. I'm like, I'm done shooting with it. We can throw it in the trash because I don't really care
Hmm.
about. I mean, there's some things I have that I'm like, I like that. That's
Yeah.
cool. But for the most part, I'm like, it's
Get
just
out of my
stuff.
way.
It's just stuff. Why are you filling my house with stuff? So, yeah.
That's awesome. Um, so how long does it typically take to create a full prosthetic
Well,
makeup for a
it
major
depends.
character?
It could be months. It could be hours. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
it's really like
Oof. So
what
it's
they
night and
give
day.
you.
Okay.
Like I got woke up this morning to an email from these producers I know, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this movie, and there's a bunch of old age makeups in it. It shoots in a month." And I'm like, "What? Well, what do you? I mean?" And I said, "Well, let's talk about it sooner than later, because." That's a very short time frame. And
Okay.
but I need to know specifics, like who are the actors? Are they, how extensive do they age? And it's that shit. So,
Yeah.
sometimes you get time. Like on Narnia, the first Narnia, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, I had something like 9 months of prep. It was incredible. That was wonderful. It was almost a year of prep. But then nowadays,
Does
you're
that
lucky.
happen a lot or
No, no,
that's
that it
unusual?
used to.
Okay.
And now it never will.
Okay.
And now they force you, but we do it anyhow and make it all work into like weeks. And it's like this is not cool. And you work your crew and you're tired and you don't get to do the great work that you normally do. You really do become a facilitator. So, you do the best you can. Richard Taylor from Weta says it best. You do the best you can with the limitations set forth by production. And that's true. We
Man.
do the best we can. And they set the limits,
Okay.
because they're like, well, this shoots this date and we have only this amount of money. And you're like, well, with those dates and this amount of money, we can do this, but we can't do this.
Hmm.
It's just not possible. But then, of course, as the time goes on, somehow they find money. Go figure.
Just
They never,
randomly, huh? All right.
yeah,
That's
they
crazy.
never find time.
They
Like the
get
show
money.
the show I did last year, they just cried poor the whole time. And then at the end, they're like, somehow had money. And I'm like, did you look under a couch? Is that what happened? Did you find a bag on the street that had, hundreds in it? Because you didn't have this,
Hmm.
9 weeks ago, but all of a sudden, magically, you have money and we can, turn the money hose onto this problem. So it's always
Interesting.
super interesting.
Well, you were saying about Narnia. You had almost a whole year to do
Mhm.
that
Yeah, it was
and that
great.
experience.
It was a magical experience. It was probably it is my most favorite experience of my career. Was doing
Nice.
that movie. I loved it.
And you worked on pretty much what did you work on there? I mean, everything? Like
Everything.
you did
Everything.
amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Everything. Yeah, it was a shit ton of stuff, man. Yeah, no, we did everything, and it was incredible. And I really immersed myself and I immersed my crew into. that world. And we built it at KNB in LA
Mhm.
and then shipped everything to New Zealand. And I spent almost 9 months in
Oh
New
wow.
Zealand. Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry. I spent
No.
9 months in New Zealand with a big crew of like 40 people shooting, and it was exhausting. And I had my ass kicked every day because it was so exhausting and hard, but it was so fulfilling and rewarding. It was great. I loved every minute of it. And I made great friends that people that I'm still friends with after
Awesome.
22 years, 23 years.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, how do you help actors perform through heavy makeup or prosthetics so it enhances rather than limits their performance?
Well, you never do anything to limit them, you know. And I
Mhm.
like to discuss before we even start,
Okay.
building and design. Well, we've designed. So I'll give an example. So we did this movie, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Jamie Foxx plays Electro. So we designed the look of Electro in Photoshop, and Mark Webb, who was the director, was like, "That's it. That's the look I want."
Hmm.
So I went and visited Jamie, and I took the artwork with me. And I just wanted to make sure that Jamie was on board. And I explained to him what we were going to do. If he had said, like, no way am I doing that, I'm not going to get covered in appliances, I don't want to sit in the trailer for 4 hours,
Mm,
then I'd have to rethink it.
okay.
But Jamie was like, oh, yeah, I'm in 100%. Count me in. And I was like, this is going to be great. And it was. And Jamie was a great partner. And we designed the makeup. Norman Cabrera sculpted the makeup for Jamie. It was beautiful. And it was all silicone, really thin silicone pieces.
Okay. How long
Because
did it take?
we did that makeup in about an hour and a half, which is
Wow.
pretty fast. I would pre-paint everything, and I did that makeup along with another great makeup artist, Peter Montagna. And so we did him, and then Tammy Lane and Josh Turry did Jamie's double, Clay. And so we
Okay.
always had if Jamie was working as Electro, Clay was always working as Electro. So we always had two Electros on set. And Jamie was incredible, and there was like a week where we had to do full body, and that
Mhm.
took a while. That was about a 4 hour makeup every day,
Oh
and
wow.
then like a good like hour removal and cleanup. And again, Jamie was great. We'd start at 3 a.m. Jamie'd come in, energetic, and we all had a great time and talked and talked about stuff and, really kind of like kept our minds off of the hours of it. But we
Mhm.
were having such a good time and it was such a good mix, and Jamie was he's just a dream, that guy.
Mhm.
He's like one of my favorite guys to work with is Jamie Foxx. He's just awesome dude. Um, so yeah, I mean that's a long makeup. So that same with Tony Hopkins.
Mhm.
It was talking to Tony about like this is what I'm thinking and this is what I want to do and you know.
Interesting, interesting, man.
Yeah.
Can you share a moment when an actor's reaction to seeing themselves in makeup stood out to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll go back to Hitchcock. So
Okay.
the first time I did
Yeah.
Tony's test
Mhm.
makeup, the first test makeup that looked just like Hitchcock, Tony got up and looked, and he was in his car, and he said, "I don't even need to act. I don't even need to act." And I said, "No, no, I need you to act." I said, I did because I feel that a makeup artist brings like 50% to the table, and then the
And the
actor brings
rest
the
has
rest.
to, yeah.
I need the actor to bring it,
Hmm.
and then so yeah, it's really a collaboration, and
Cool.
same with like when we did James McAvoy as Mr. Tumnus for Narnia. He really brought it. He really like, but he and I worked together to help like get it going, like
Hmm.
create a character. And I was, I'm not that he didn't need me to tell him what to do, but it was like I told him how I felt about Mr. Tumnus and how he would react. And James, already had a great sense of the character. And you're there. I look at it as a partnership when you're working with an actor.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely a part. You just don't do the makeup and then off they go and you don't think twice about it. They're wearing your concept and your art, and that art has to become kinetic and alive. And
Hmm.
so you really rely on the actor and trust the actor. I mean, listen, I've had really cool makeups ruined by mediocre actors too,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
They
Or
could they could pretty much ruin your design almost, right? If like
well, they just ruined the whole thing. I mean,
the whole thing.
I recently did a makeup, it was last year or the year before, on a guy I didn't have much faith in, and he
Hmm.
proved me right. and we did this really great makeup, and it just he didn't bring it. But I knew he wasn't going to bring it. And I kept saying to the producers, like, this guy's not going to bring it. I have somebody else in mind I really want for this part. And
Mhm.
like, well, we can't do this because of this, this, and this. And I'm like, and then on set, they're like, we should have listened to you. I'm like, yeah, that ship fucking sailed. And now we're dealing with it. So I don't know what to tell you. And they're like, are you unhappy? I said, I'm super, super unhappy because we worked so hard
And
and
then to have it,
you guys kiboshed it
yeah,
over money. You sacrificed this aspect of the show for money.
mhm,
And now it's just not as good as it could have been.
yeah, that's upsetting. That's
Yeah, it
sad.
sucks.
How do tight shooting schedules impact the quality or creativity of your work?
Well, you just kind of roll with it.
Just roll
You
with
know,
it.
I'm a very fast makeup artist. I can do makeups very quickly
Okay.
to their advantage. And yeah, you just got to roll with it, you know? I mean, if something's impossible, you go, guys, like it's good. This is going to be tough, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
Let's just, can we move this somewhere or can we look at the schedule and give me a little, just give me a couple days of breathing room? I mean, and usually you can figure it out, you know,
Okay.
and it works out. And you just kind of badger the production until they finally bend and do what you want. So,
How much freedom do you typically have to design versus following a director's exact vision? Now, you said it before, you've
yeah,
worked with plenty of directors and you probably kind of know the ins and out and what
right.
to do. What happened?
Uh-oh. VR glasses went
Yeah.
awry. Somebody wouldn't share the
Oh,
VR glasses.
okay. I don't know the password.
The password is
Look,
Schnitzel.
look, it's Schnitzel. Say hi.
Hi. Are you playing with the VR glasses?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, all right. Go
All
over
right.
there with your brother. I don't know the password, dude. I don't know the password. Okay, can you just chill? I love you. Go, please. Um, like I was saying, oh, so you've worked with, like I said, with the Sam Raimi, Quentin Tarantino. You kind of know, like I said, multiple projects with them. You kind of already can pick their brain, right? And kind of
Yeah.
know exactly what they want already.
hmm yeah, again, that's knowing the language, you know?
Hmm.
And I do know their language and I know what they like. I know their sensibilities. So yeah, you tailor everything for that person, you know?
Gotcha.
But like somebody like Sam Raimi, who's extremely creative, you know,
Hmm.
and he's very specific too. But he'll give you leeway, you know.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, but he knows what he likes, you know. Same with Quentin. Quentin knows what he likes. You listen and you do what he asks, and
Hmm.
um, you know. But you do have those directors who don't know. They really don't know. They know it when they see it, but they can't tell you anything other than that. So
Uh,
you're guessing the whole time. That's a little more difficult and
mhm.
time consuming and it's not very cost effective. But you know, some directors just aren't that visual, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, I've worked with actors or directors and I'm like, this is just not their type of movie. It's a
It's
strange
just not,
thing.
you can just pick it out from like the
Mhm.
get-go.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with that. Yeah. Yeah, I can walk into a room and I'm like, yeah, no,
Oh boy.
this
Yeah.
is not for me. So and now I try to pick and choose. I mean, listen, I love to
Okay.
work. I
Yep.
enjoy it beyond belief, but I'm also choosy about what I want to work on. If it's going to be miserable, I don't do
Hmm.
it. That's my number one thing. It has to be really fun because I just like to have fun all the time and I like
Yeah,
to be with
absolutely.
fun people. I'm as I'm getting older, I'm tired of people that are filled with drama and exhausting and unhappy and
Toxic and all that. I
yeah,
mean, who
toxic.
wants,
Yeah.
yeah, who wants to be with around with that?
I don't know. There's people that are fine with that. I
Some
don't
people thrive
subscribe
in
to
that.
that.
I don't know why.
They
Give me a second.
do.
I'm gonna close the door because he didn't close
Yeah,
the
yeah,
door. I can
that's fine.
scream. All right, go ahead. I was like,
Yeah, no. But yeah, I don't subscribe to that. And if, you know, your energy's bad, then,
yeah.
you know, don't come near me.
No, I
I'm
understand
good.
100%.
Yeah.
And going from that point where you have people that are toxic and stuff. I mean, that's in every job. There's always one
Yeah,
person,
of
there's
course.
always
Every
one
job.
bad. Yeah, every job.
Hmm
Um, Now talking about directors, what is it that like? Because I've talked to Bob about this and him kind of dissecting each director and seeing kind of behind the film, like what they like and how they like. He talked about Sam Raimi and how little things that he learned. What did you learn from, working with those directors? Anything in the business about directing?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned something different from every director, you know. It's interesting. I worked on a movie called End of Days with Arnold
Arnold
Schwarzenegger, and
Schwarzenegger, yeah.
yeah, and Peter Hyams directed it. And Peter Hyams was also the cinematographer on the film. He always would shoot his movies, his own
Okay.
movies. But I was on set and I was watching him set up the cameras, and he would do his master shots.
Hmm.
And then at the same time, he had multiple cameras. This was kind of before people were doing multiple cameras.
Okay.
And he had, close up on Arnold, close up on Kevin Pollak, and he had a camera that was just kind of bouncing around picking up inserts. And I was like,
Interesting.
that makes sense to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
So Peter, and I said to him after we were done with the scene, I'm like, that was so cool. He's like, well, what? I'm like, you had a roving camera that was picking up your insert, so you don't have to have another unit.
no, you're
Go
just
back and one, mismatch it. Two, co the cost of it all. And he's like, yeah, why would I? I'll just shoot all my inserts now. Like Arnold picks up a piece of paper. I'm
yeah,
gonna get that on this during the master take. And I'm like, that is great.
that's
I
genius.
really like Peter Hyams too. I thought he was really an interesting filmmaker. And then, with Quentin, who is one of my all-time favorite directors, working with and watching,
Hmm.
his energy is so good. And what I liked, one of the things that really stood out for me with Quentin is how he tailors his personality for each actor.
Okay.
So it's not, you don't get Quentin all the time, but like Uma Thurman, like if you take Kill Bill for a point of reference, the way he dealt with Uma was different than the way he dealt with Lucy Liu, than the way he dealt with Mike Madsen, than the way he dealt with David Carradine, than the way he dealt with,
Interesting.
so on and so on. Julia Dreyfus or whatever, and or Julie Dreyfus, who played Sophie. And I thought that was really interesting because each person is different. Each person has to be dealt with differently.
Absolutely.
Uma's a very tender soul, and he was very, very tender with her and nurturing. Lucy Liu, who I adore to no end, is a very tough
Hmm.
personality in a good way. She's a tough lady. She's a
Hmm.
strong lady, and he had to be stand his ground and be tough with her.
Interesting.
So I watched that, and I learned a lot about directing actors from Quentin. It was really, really educational, but yeah, every director's different. I walk away. Sometimes I go, that guy's could not be more inept. It's incredible that guy is going to have a directing credit and probably get a five-picture deal, for all we
Wow.
know. But it's those guys that just shoot and shoot and shoot everything
Oh,
a
yeah.
hundred times. Like when I hate on set, that was great. Let's do it again. If it was great, why are we doing it again? Okay, so it was great. Let's do it again. What do you want different? And there's nothing
No,
because
same thing. Keep going.
yeah. The other day I worked with a director on some pickups and he was great. And he did like two takes. And I'm like, oh my God, this is wonderful. He
So
knew
that's
he
so
had it.
funny.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is the way to do it. I mean, it's production friendly. You get what you want. You don't burn out your cast. You don't burn out your crew with like 14, 15, 16 takes of the same
Yep.
stuff over and over again.
That's so funny that you say like that because I had Kevin McNally on the show and I
Uh-huh.
asked him, I go, hey, what makes a good director compared to a bad one? And he goes, the amount of shots you
Yeah.
take. He's like,
Yeah.
you can really,
Yeah.
really destroy everyone.
You
He's like, if
can. I've
you know exactly what you want, then film it and keep going. Don't film it a
Yeah,
million
just
times
keep
until it's
going. Like, I worked a lot. I worked a lot with Mark Wahlberg, and Mark really loved working with Peter Berg. So do I. And because Pete shoots and shoots and shoots. I mean, but he doesn't excessively shoot, but he's always on to the next thing. So like,
Mhm.
okay, great, we got it. Move on over here. Okay, boom, 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 great, we got that. Let's move on. It's like nobody goes to their trailer when
Nice.
you're on a Pete Berg show. You get to set and you're there until they wrap. Be it a makeup artist, be it the craft service, be it Mark Wahlberg. And it's wonderful. And I know Mark hates to go to his trailer. He wants to just keep working
Get
every
it
day.
done. Yep.
Yeah, and Pete Berg is one of those directors. I've done 9 projects with Pete,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and it has been every one of them has been fantastic. I love, love, love working with Peter Berg. He's wonderful and creative, and he lets me do what I like to do. And again, I
He
know
trusts
his
you.
sensibilities. He
Yep.
does. I mean, sometimes you're like, dude, that's too much.
Well, give me an
Yeah.
example where it was like, dude, what are you doing here? What are
Oh,
you
it's, you know, I think it was on American Primeval,
Uh-huh.
and we did this really intense makeup on Dane DeHaan, Jamie Kellman, who's an
Okay.
incredible makeup artist. Jamie, I had Jamie handle that makeup, and like the first tests were really hardcore, you know, because this character gets semi-scalped and all this stuff, and they sew him back. And the first test was pretty graphic, and Pete's like, "Dude, too much, too much." And we changed it a little bit, but not much, because Dane wanted to go with it, and I
Mhm.
just said to Pete, like, "Yeah, no, we pushed it back a little bit." And there was one day, there's a scene where the doctor is sewing up the wound, the scalp.
Mhm.
And so Pete shot it, you know, like this, and he's like, I think we got it. And I went, no, 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 Pete, we got to get in there. And did it. He's like, then you go do it, direct it. And I went, okay.
Okay.
And so I'm like, two cameras right here, here and here, ready and action. And you know, and I hear Pete on the other side laughing, you know, because he's like digging it. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, yeah, get in there, okay. And I'm telling the actor, like, no, no, sew it up like this and then pull on it and Dane, you know, react to it. And all right, great, great. And Pete's like, all right, we got it. We got it. Okay, Howard, we got it. All right. Are you happy now? And I'm like, yeah, we wouldn't have had the scene if we needed those
Hmm.
pieces, Pete. And he's like, all right. And he's got always this little smile on his face when he's looking at me when he's like, okay, all right, Howard, you good? I'm like, I'm good now. We can move on.
Oh man, that's funny. You
But
ever
yeah, I
thought
would, if,
about
what's
dabbling
that?
in direct? Have you
Yeah,
done it?
absolutely. I would love to. I mean, I'd love to produce. I've tried so many times. Listen, it's a catch 22.
Okay,
I
yeah,
have,
I'm about to
in
say.
my opinion, I have
Mhm.
brought a lot to the table on things
Mhm.
I work on. And I'm not just a makeup artist. I'm not just a vendor. Like I'm part of the creative team. I have pushed movies up hills and I just, unfortunately, every time I'm like, I should probably get a producer credit, guys. And they're like, well, you know, da 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 da. Meanwhile, you know, some assistant gets a credit as a
And he hasn't
co-producer. And
done
I'm
anything.
like,
Yeah.
I don't understand this. And I said, I don't want the money.
Yeah.
I just want the credit and a parking space close to the stage. That's all I want. My friend Erin McCash, who's a great makeup artist, she had been working with Ryan Murphy for so long. Ryan finally said, I'm going to make you a producer. He recognized what she brought to the table. And
Oh
she got a
wow.
parking space at Fox. And I remember it was so great. I went over there, I took pictures with it. I'm like, you made it. You got a parking space at 20th Century Fox.
How close is it? It's pretty close compared to everyone else.
What's that? The
The parking
parking?
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was right there.
Oh,
It's on the
nice.
lot. You don't have to go park like on, you know, the 10th floor of some shitty parking structure, you know, halfway off the lot. And you're like, you got to
Oh,
get there 20 minutes early so you can get parking,
oh,
you know?
oh no.
No,
Oh.
no, Aaron just drives in and she's like, there's my parking space. I'm like, let me know if you're not going to be on the lot and I'll use the parking space. So,
Oh, that's awesome. That's funny.
yeah. Yeah, in
Oh,
Orville, Seth's parking space was right outside my makeup trailer.
hmm.
So he could just pull up and walk in. But I would every day take a piece of tape and write my name on it and just put it askew. So it said Howard Berger, but you can still read Seth MacFarlane. And he'd pull up and he'd get out. I'm like, morning, Seth. He's like, funny, really funny, Howard. I'm like, yeah. I said, you're
That's
in my
awesome.
spot. Seth, you're in my spot.
That's funny. That's good. That's good. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the films that you were involved in. Let's talk about Child's Play because again, my
Mm.
wife's a big Chucky fan. So if I didn't never brought this up or talked about it, this
Yeah.
would what happened. Sorry, give me a second. He
That's
needs
okay.
the
I was
battery. The battery.
not the battery.
Here we go.
How can you survive without the battery?
Thank you. Bye.
So
Let's talk
child's
about
play.
Child's Play and how you got into how'd you get that gig?
Well, I was working for Kevin Yeager already.
Hmm.
We had done the Hidden and 976 Evil and a bunch of stuff. And so Kevin landed this movie Child's Play. And so I was the shop supervisor at the time. And you know, I was there from day one till the day we wrapped the show on set, you know, and so that was the first time I got to be a puppeteer, a SAG, a Screen Actors
Okay.
Guild puppeteer. And I owe Kevin a lot for that because I still get checks for Child's Play, believe it or not,
Oh
residual
wow.
checks after all these decades. But it was great. Nothing like that had ever been done before.
Hmm.
A full mechanical puppet, and we had, I think, like four different versions, maybe five different versions of Chucky that did. Oh, sorry. I
Oh,
woke up so early this morning. My brain woke me up at like 3 a.m. So no, we had like five different versions of Chucky,
mhm.
and they all did different things. Some were cable, full body cable or radio
Burn.
control, and we had the burn guys, and but I part of my job on set was puppeteering, but also I handled all the cosmetics. So Chucky's hands would get really dirty really fast. So I would
Mhm.
always we had bags of hands, Chucky hands.
That's funny.
And I'd have to take them off and then put new hands on, and or else the metal, the fingertips would pop through after a while, and take them. I wish I saved those at least a couple of those because they were
Hmm.
they were cool. We threw them all out at the end of the day. Same with the shoes. If the shoes got scuffed, they were pretty hard to clean. We could try to repaint them, but at the end of the day, we just had bags of good guy shoes that I would put on the Chucky puppet. But no, it was great fun. I mean, Bill Butler shot that movie. Bill Butler shot Jaws,
Hmm.
and I asked him 101 Jaws questions because it's my favorite movie, and it was really magical to work with him. And Chris Sarandon was in the movie, who of
Yep.
course I love from Fright Night and Dog Day Afternoon and Nightmare Before Christmas and all these great things. And although that was before Nightmare Before Christmas, or yeah, way before Nightmare Before Christmas came later. But yeah, it was cool. It was an incredible experience, and we shot the whole thing on a movie lot over at Culver Studios. And yeah, they built this set. And working with Catherine Hicks was wonderful. And I just got to see Catherine in October because we all went to Robert England's Star on the
Okay.
Walk of
Yep.
Fame.
Hmm.
And so because she's married to Kevin Yeager.
Hmm.
So it was great seeing her, and she's lovely, lovely, lovely lady. And yeah, it was fun. So, but I had a great time on Child's Play. It was cool. I mean, we had no idea if it was going to be good or bad. I personally
Hmm.
don't think it's the greatest movie in the world,
Hmm.
but people love it, and what the hell do I know? It's spawned what, however many sequels and
Yeah.
all that
Oh my
other
God.
shit.
He's still
So
going. It's still
yeah,
going,
it's
man.
crazy. It's
Um,
crazy, man, crazy.
did you have did they have a design for you like, hey, we want him to have red hair?
Oh yeah, yeah.
How did
So
that
D
work out?
David
Mm.
Kirshner, who was like the producer and also he credits himself as the creator, had done some artwork prior. He's an artist.
Okay.
And so Chucky went through a bunch of different changes. I mean, I remember because I shot video of the making of Chucky, the whole film I have
Okay.
is like every single day video of shooting stuff. And Chucky started off looking very different, but we knew like where we were going, but he kept changing. And Jim Cagle, who's a great sculptor, he sculpted Chucky's hands and face and I don't think he did the shoes, but he sculpted the hands and the full head and all the different expressions and all that stuff because we
Mhm.
had the screaming head and all that. But no, it was developing. He always had red hair,
Okay.
and
Oh, so
and
and
yeah,
then director was what? Tom Holland,
yeah.
correct?
Tom
Yeah.
Holland, who's awesome,
Yeah.
love Tom Holland to death. He's super, super, super cool. And this is something Don Mancini wrote it, Tom rewrote it to some
Mhm.
degree, directed it. I mean, I think Tom was under a lot of pressure from the studio. I remember studio heads coming on and they're like, okay, everybody take a break. And I'm like,
Uh, did you have a
Yeah.
lot of that in your career of studio people coming in and kind of
Oh, not a
run?
lot, but
No? Okay.
but it still happens. I mean,
Yeah.
a show I did last year or 2 years ago, I had the studio come in and they're like, we feel this looks like and did it. And I'm like, you
Oh.
guys don't know what you're talking about. And but half the time I just like I'll say like, yeah, know what? I totally get it. I'll change
Mhm.
it and I don't do anything. And then they go like, oh, it's so much better. And I'm like, isn't it though? Thanks. You had a great suggestion. And I didn't do shit. I didn't do anything.
Love it. Love
All I
it.
did is ignore them. And they're like, see that, Howard, thanks for listening. I'm like, 100%, man. That was a great idea. And once you said it and I implemented it, it really tied the room together.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. Well, let's talk about Kill Bill. For Kill Bill Volume 1
Mhm.
and 2, the blood effects became iconic. How did you
Yeah.
achieve that stylist look without feeling fake? And if you
Well,
have
it's
any,
all ridiculous for starters. So,
well, yeah,
but
it's good.
well, I'll tell you what, it didn't go the way we hoped in the beginning. Quentin
Oh
was
no.
not happy because it wasn't enough. And you know, it was the blood system was designed by somebody else at first,
Okay.
and it just wasn't delivering at all. And I'm like, and Quentin's like, Howard, this is not what I want. And I was feeling really bad about it because I never want to let anybody down, especially Quentin.
Hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with what I know. I'm not going to do that. I'm not using this thing. So let's just put that in the corner. And so myself and Chris Nelson and Jake McKinnon, it was just the three of us on that show doing like 40 blood gags a day for months. Um, I got two fire extinguishers,
Okay.
put a gallon of blood in each one, charged it to 120 psi, and then I ran the tubes, you know,
Hmm.
like the first we shot that House of Blue Leaves sequence in order in
Okay.
continuity.
Oh, really?
So it took us a while to get to the first blood gag, which is where Uma cuts off Sophie's arm.
Hmm.
And so I rigged it. We had a fiberglass shoulder cup on Julie, had her arm behind her back, tied behind her back, and I took tubing and I did a halo and notched it, put notches in it, and then ran the tubing and I ran them to both extinguishers. Instead of using one extinguisher, I used two. So it was 2 gallons
Shit.
at 100 psi each, so almost 200 psi. One, two, three. And I could time myself as she began the swing, is
Hmm.
when I hit the blood. Because if I waited and until she hit it and then hit the blood, there would be a delay.
And yeah, you didn't want
But
that.
I was getting really good at, so I did all the blood pumping. And, you know, with Chris and Jake helping me out, rigging it and everything, I couldn't have done it without those two guys. And it was like that was like ready, one, two. The Uma takes it and starts swing. I hit the blood, boom, and we had built all those pieces out of with electromagnets. So that way, the arms, everything attached with electromagnets,
Hmm.
which are magnets that are electrified. And then and then Chris would hit the button, and that would turn the power off, which would disengage the arm, and blood was like rocketing out of that socket. And all I heard was behind me was Quentin laughing, and I knew that was a good
That was
sign.
it. That was
But
it.
at first, when we were doing the test, I
Hmm.
think he was even thinking of like, I'm gonna fire Howard because this is shit.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
was like, God damn it, I should have just gone with my guts. I should have gone with what I knew instead of listening to somebody else who isn't here and didn't really know what he wanted this to be. And
Hmm.
then after that, all blood gags were fantastic. I think we screwed up. I screwed up one blood gag, which I felt really bad about. But then I problem solved it, and it worked beautiful. And Quentin was like, because he was really pissed on set with me, and I was like, I felt such like a failure. I felt so terrible. But then we figured it out and made it super easy and it worked
Hmm.
out great. And he was like, that's exactly what I wanted. It's genius. So we only had like two big
Okay.
hiccups on the
Nice,
movie.
nice. And was
Uh,
that your favorite scene shooting for that
oh,
film?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it went on forever. Listen, we went over there only for 3 weeks and we stayed for 7 months.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. So that's why my first wife said, I think it's time we're
Oh
not going to be married
no.
anymore.
Oh no. Oh
But
no.
that's okay because I have an incredible wife now.
Exactly.
So,
There you go, Howard. Everything
yeah,
works out.
it
Everything
certainly
works
did.
out.
It was gutting at first, but I'm like, I love Miriam. She's the
There you
greatest.
go. That's awesome. And
But
she keeps you leveled.
boy, does she. And yeah, believe me. But no, you know, we what happened is that we were only planning on being there for 3 weeks, and the Quentin just kept shooting and shooting and shooting,
Mm.
and the producers just went, we're having a shit about it, and he said, go to the editing room and go look at the footage. And the producers went to the editing room and they called. I was standing right there, called Quentin and said, "You shoot as long as you want. You have a blank check."
Wow.
They were so blown away by the footage, and it was great. And it was a life-changing adventure being in Beijing shooting that movie forever, living in this crazy place in China in 2002, and it's just three of us Americans. I mean, there were other Americans on the show,
Mhm.
but not a lot. And we're in communist China,
Jeez.
so it was pretty communist there. But here's a bunch of you know white Americans walking around. It was
And how long
interesting.
How long did that take to shoot that whole
The
Good Will
House of
Hunting?
Blue Leaves was like 4 months. It ended
Four
up like
months?
3 or 4 months. It was supposed to be 3 weeks, and it went
Mhm.
months.
Oh
But it
wow.
was great. It was great because Bob Richardson shot the film, and
Mm,
he operates every single shot, and he's incredible.
yeah.
And yeah, it's dynamite.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
While working on the Hateful Eight, what went into creating the brutal, realistic injury effects in such a intimate setting?
Well, that on that show, I didn't work on that show.
Okay, that
This
was
is like what
the
Bob had
KNB.
said.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
was a Greg, but also Kerry Jones, who was
Okay.
is KNB shop supervisor. Kerry really spearheaded that movie. He did a great job.
Hmm.
I mean, I was there while they were doing tests and all that stuff, but it's like, Kerry supervised Django
Okay.
and Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time. He had
Nice.
a tremendous amount to do with those shows and the success of those shows.
Nice.
So I give him a big kudos for that. And Quentin likes to work with people he feels comfortable with. So
100%.
he felt comfortable with me. He feels comfortable with Greg. He feels comfortable with Jay with Kerry Jones, but also with Jake Garber, who's another great makeup artist who does the ghoul makeup for Fallout
Okay.
on
Cool. Cool.
Walton
Cool.
on top of 100 other things. Jake Harper's incredible, but Quentin, you don't send somebody to set that Quentin doesn't know
No,
ever.
100%. And it makes sense,
Yeah,
like you know what you're getting into and you're
yeah,
kind of
but
ready to know, right?
I've had some other shops that I know
Mhm.
they'll have meetings with the director and producer, and then
Okay.
they won't go to set, and they'll send somebody else, and they're like, "Who the hell are you?"
Oh, really?
But those shops are long gone. They didn't survive. But that's part of what the success of K&B was and
Hmm.
is that the Bob, Greg, and I always gave it personal attention.
Absolutely.
Every show was the most important show.
Absolutely.
So, and that's also why we juggled so many shows
Mhm.
because we personally were invested and involved. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to hand this show off to this guy you don't know. It's like, no. And the production and always knew that they could reach out to any of us at any time. If we
Okay.
weren't able to be on that set because we're somewhere else shooting
Hmm.
and there was a problem, they would call us and have a talk with us about it and try to troubleshoot. And I've had that a couple times too.
Yeah.
And I always say I don't want phone calls at midnight. That's the
Yeah, those
worst.
are no good.
And
Yeah, those
then, but once in a while I've gotten phone calls at midnight and I'm like, oh, for the love of Mike.
are. All right, so I asked before I let you go. I did ask Robert. I asked him if there was a director that he would love to work with that he hasn't yet. He named two. He named Clint Eastwood and Mel Gibson. Who would be in your tier list of actors?
Well,
I mean,
Clint Eastwood for sure. But
mhm.
that won't ever happen. I don't think
Yeah,
Clint's going to direct again.
yeah, that's what he was saying
Um,
too.
yeah, but Clint Eastwood, huge. I worked with Mel Gibson not as a director, but as an actor, and I probably don't want to work with him as a director. But that's okay.
No, that's fine.
I would love to actually be on a Steven Spielberg movie that I department headed. That
Sweet.
to me would be a dream come true because I think Steven Spielberg is incredible and I love his movies so much and I admire him so much and I know him socially through the academy because we're both academy members. We
Yep.
also served together as governors and he was always wonderful and yeah, I would probably kill the department head a movie for Steven Spielberg.
Cool,
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
Is there any type of creature or project you haven't done yet but would love to get involved with?
I don't think creature wise. I
Okay.
think maybe those days are kind of behind me, but I
Mhm.
would love to do a show that was just heavy makeup.
Okay.
I'd love to do like another Narnia type thing or Oz the Great and Powerful, like where
Yep.
I can have a giant crew and employ a lot of people and make a lot of cool stuff. I like those sort of movies. I like character movies. I like
Okay.
fantasy movies. I like science fiction. I like, I shy away from a lot of horror stuff. I'm kind of done with the blood and gut stuff. I don't just
Makes sense.
not a huge fan. After Kill Bill, tell you the truth, I was like, I've done
Okay.
every blood
I'm
gag
good.
in the world.
I
So
mean, yeah.
there's not really a lot of blood gags for me to do anymore. Um, I did one on Telemasca. I mean, I was department head of this TV show Telemasca that was part of
Mm,
the Anne Rice universe, and we had this slit throat. A vampire slits the guy's throat, and blood
mhm,
supposed to spray out. And I was going to do the whole thing, but like the special effects guy, Jordan, super great guy, so enthusiastic. He wanted to do it together, and so
mhm.
he rigged it, and I was like, okay, we'll see how this goes. Had a pressure pot, one, two, three, and it just kind of went blah 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 blah. And they're like, okay, let's clean him up and do it again. And I'm like, jack up the pressure, go all the way, go beyond what you think. And then ready, one, two, three, and then it just kind of went. And I'm like, they're like, okay, no, we're going to do it digitally. I'm like, no, no, we are
Uh,
not doing it digitally. I'm like, clean them up and we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. And I
Absolutely.
grabbed the syringe, hooked up a line, hooked it in, one, two, three, boom.
There
And
it
I'm like,
is.
that's how it's done, guys. Old school bullshit.
Yep.
Take a syringe and a tube. Nothing works better than that.
No,
But it's
absolutely.
true.
It
It's
is.
true. Whatever you can
Practical
have the
effects
fanciest,
always.
you
Yeah.
can have the fanciest stuff in the world. This thing does a flip-flop override, and you put this here, and you have a pump here, and I'm like, dude, just give me a syringe, man. I'm gonna shoot the shit out of this. We did that also on American Primeval. When Dane is getting the top of his head cut, Pete got talked into not you doing the blood because we had limited time. It was a sunset shot.
Okay.
But Jamie Kellman came to me and he's like, Howard, we should just rig it. Let's rig it to bleed. And I'm like, well, but Pete says it's going to be digital. He's like, let's be ready. And I'm like, you know what, dude? You're fucking right. So anyhow, we do a take without blood, and Pete's like, it's not working. Does another take. It's like, it just doesn't feel right. And I went up to Pete and I went, I didn't listen to you and it's rigged to bleed. And may I please have a take? And he's like, go do it. You got one take. And I went, all right. And Jamie and I hooked it up. We got it ready. And, as soon as it starts to cut, I'm fucking spraying blood everywhere. It's spurting out everywhere. I hear Pete up on the hill laughing. It's like blood, and Dane is screaming because he's reacting.
Hmm.
He wasn't able to react to nothing, and now he's
Oh, I get what
reacting
you're
to it.
saying.
And then we cut, and Pete's like, he comes down, and I'm like, well, and he's like, we got the shot, moving on. I
And
was
that's
like,
that's the beauty of it, man. I
it
feel like
is.
with CGI, CG blood, it kind of takes me out of the movie, especially when it's
Well, but sometimes it's a
yeah,
necessity
I agree with you.
because you do not have the time. Listen, if like Greg, who is directing Walking Dead, he's got to
Mhm.
shoot like 20 pages a day. He can't be redressing actors. Okay, now let's go take him back to the
And
trailer.
that's another thing, right?
Um,
Is like the blood, like blood's a pain in the ass to
It is.
get
It's the
off, right?
worst.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah, I
worst. I
hate it. I hate every second of it. So I hate, and it's like Savini. It keeps going like, oh, I hate blood. It's sticky in your arms and da, da,
agree.
da. So, and I feel the same way. I'm like, I hate that shit all over me. I don't like it.
All right. Well, what advice would you give someone trying to break into special effects makeup in this
Hey,
day and age?
listen, guys, this is the reality of the situation.
There we go.
It's not easy to break into. It's almost, I hate to say it, it's virtually impossible.
Mhm.
And it's because the industry is shrinking. Our industry is getting smaller. It's not that there's fewer and fewer jobs. It's just squishing down. We're weeding out things. In order to get into this, you have to be really, 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 really good. And
Mhm.
you have to look in the mirror and go, am I as good as Norman Cabrera? Am I as good as Dave Grasso? Am I as good as Alex Diaz? And you really have to look at yourself and yeah, if you can compete with them, great. But it's not, I don't want to be negative, but it's really difficult. It's not as easy as it was. I got in at the right time. I broke in right out of high school in 83, and that was the prime time. And then I just caught that train, and I've been on the train ever since.
Mhm.
It's a different animal now, and there's fewer shops that hire people in the labs. Going on set is virtually impossible to do at this point because there's way too many people already that do it that aren't working.
Mhm.
So listen, I personally feel learn how to use a digital printer, learn how to do digital art, figure out all that stuff, learn how to scan. That is super valuable. And we use it all the time at KNB. Every shop uses digital
Mhm.
uh, imaging, design, and printing. And that's all I can say. I mean, I wish. my brain could learn that now. I
Yeah.
also just don't have an interest in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I have friends that obviously and colleagues that do it great. And I just go, hey, here's a file. Will you print this for me just because it's cool? You know, like this here, like I'll show you. Like this Godzilla. This is, I love the
Sweet.
Godzilla. So this is printed. Dave Grasso printed it for me, which was nice.
Nice.
And but whoops. And but that stuff's cool, man. And it's like I love it. I think that's an incredible thing. And I highly recommend if you want to get into the film industry and be in the world of monsters and all that, learn the digital aspect. I'm not saying do CGI or AI or any of that shit,
Mm.
but I'm saying learn how to model in ZBrush, you know, and learn how to print and understand printers and learn how to scan and be inventive and come up with new ways and better ways of doing all that stuff because that's going to be something we're all going to need.
Yeah.
We don't need sculptors, clay sculptors. I don't really need painters. Those days are gone. So it's a different landscape.
Yep, definitely. Well, Howard, I want to say it's been a blast having you on, man. I
Well,
appreciate your
thanks.
time, man. Like I said, I love all your work. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
I
Love
will.
everything about it, man. And it's been a blast to have you on, buddy.
Well, thank you so much. And I hope your kids are having fun with the VR glasses.
Yeah, I'm about to take them off because that's it. No,
Yeah.
no, no, no more
That's it.
VR, man. That's
That's
it.
it. Just go to the garbage and go
Yeah,
throwing out the VR stuff.
yeah.
It's going
That's
in the garbage, but obviously you don't throw it in the garbage. Just watch them cry and
yeah.
cry.
Just it's fun.
So
It's fun.
like you're shooting a puppy,
I'm.
you know?
I love it. All right,
All
man.
right.
Well,
You
God
take
bless, man.
care.